Hi friends, my name is Naomi. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm just gonna chat through my 2023 reading goals. I've never really made a video like this before because I usually don't have that many reading goals for the year. Besides just like a number of books that I want to hit for the year. So yeah, I wrote down some goals. I've been trying them out for January, and I feel like I took a little bit of time to make this video because I wanted to see if I was actually going to be sticking to some of these goals for the year, so I don't feel too disappointed in myself. And I've actually have been doing pretty well, so I just wanted to share just in case anyone is looking for some reading goal ideas besides just like a number of books that you want to hit for the year. So last year for 2022, my reading goal was 100 books. Not the train, thank you very much. And this year for 2023, my reading goal is still 100 books. I don't want to have to keep pushing myself like to a higher and higher number. I think 100 books is a really big accomplishment, and the fact that I read 120 last year, like, that is wild. So 100 books is going to stay the same. So yeah, I will be trying to read 100 books this year. I do have some like reading monthly goals, and I'm gonna talk about those in a second. I want to mood read more this year. That's another goal that I have this year. I feel like last year and ever since like maybe 2020-ish when I started up my channel, I feel like I had all of these video ideas and I had these TBRs set, and I was just pushing myself to read through all of these books for videos and not DNFing books. That's another thing. I need to DNF more, but I'll talk about that soon. But I wasn't mood reading as much because I was just so focused on like content, like books for this video and I have to read this for this video, and just content brain, and I wasn't mood reading and reading the things that I wanted to read at the time. And mood reading is really big for me. For example, like in the winter time right now, I usually love reading middle grade or historical fiction, or it just depends on my mood, honestly. And I just wasn't giving myself that, like even with the weather or the season, like that really affects how much I like or dislike a book. So yeah. And going off from what I said a few minutes ago, I do need to DNF more. Like I said, I was pushing myself through some books that I didn't really want to read, and those were mainly for videos because I felt so I felt like I had to read these books, because if I was doing a reading vlog or something, then that meant that all of my time wasted reading the other books for that same video. So I was like really pushing myself and pushing through, or if it was like a buddy read or a book club that I had assigned myself to, I just felt a lot of pressure. And there were some months that like every book, it was like I had to read a certain book, whether it was for a live show or I had to read it for a book club or I had to read it for a video, and there weren't any like fun books. Because I'm sure that if you're also a content creator or just in general in life, even things that you like doing, when you have to do it for a certain reason, whether it's school or it's like a responsibility, when it feels like a responsibility, you just procrastinate certain things, and that is what was happening with me. So yeah, there were months like maybe a couple years ago, more rather than last year, but there were times that I was just really just pushing myself through certain books that I just didn't want to read, and it feels like time wasted that I could have been reading something I liked. So I've been practicing more the DNFing, and I've been also able to recognize when something is a soft DNF, and to me a soft DNF means that I will keep it in my shelves and it's just not the right time for that book. And when it's like just a regular DNF, like I'm never going to read this and I'm just not gonna like this because of the content, and I just know that it's not a book for me. Like for example, I started Really Good Actually by Monica Hasey for a Valentine's vlog that I just uploaded, and I was like, I'm soft DNFing this right now because as I started this book, I was enjoying it. It was funny, but it had to do with divorce, and it was like not the mood for Valentine's. I just wanted like a really romantic, swoony romance, and this was not it at the time, so I stopped reading it. I think I only read like a chapter, so this was a soft DNF. I don't know what I've DNF'd. I haven't DNF'd a lot this year. I think the last book that I can remember DNFing very vividly that I know that I won't read is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I'll put it on the screen. This one was one that I was like, no. That's it, just no. It was confusing. I wasn't enjoying it. I knew that even if I had started rereading it, and I don't think anything would have changed my reading experience for this book. So this one was a hard DNF. But just know in the future, like if you're not enjoying something, don't push yourself to read it, because that's how you put yourself in a reading slump. And it sucks because sometimes you really want to like a book, you really want to read it, you want to be in the bandwagon like everyone else, but you know yourself more than other people do with your reading taste. So don't put yourself in a reading slump. So another reading goal that I want to talk about is reading multiple books at once. At one point in my life, this was a no-no. I was like, I am not reading multiple books at once. It's too confusing. I started doing it this year in 2023, and let me tell you, I have been reading so much. I feel like for one, I am in a really big reading mood right now, but also like reading multiple books at once. I will explain my method in a minute, but reading multiple books at once, there are times during the day that like if I'm at the gym or I am doing something else, like I have an audiobook, or there are times that I really want to read like a nonfiction and I want to learn something. Like I have different moods throughout the day, and one book can't satisfy all of those moods that I have in one day. So reading multiple books at once, I found actually that I've been reading a lot more, because in one day sometimes I'll read like 20% of one book, 40% of another one, and like 40% of the other one. If I'm reading like 3 books, that's like my max, it's 3 books at once. But I'll read so much from each one that usually a day now I've been hitting almost 200 pages combined from all 3 books. So I've been reading almost 200 pages like a day. So I've been reading a lot more, even if it doesn't look like it, because I haven't finished one book itself. I am still reading a lot more than I was before just reading one book. So another reading goal for this year is more rereads. I don't reread too much, and I started doing it this year for Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I reread before reading the sequel. I just reread Daisy Jones and the Six, and a couple other books I've reread. Oh, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas I just reread, and I just found so much joy in rereading some of my like all-time favorite books of all time, and I'm most likely going to be rereading all of the ACOTAR series. But yeah, it just brought me so much joy, and this also helps a lot with my simultaneous reads goal. And I'm about to explain like all of the simultaneous readings, like when I'm reading multiple books at once, how I keep everything straight. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about that right now. So for every month, I want to try to read one book of the month book, because I have, I think, about 8 or 9 that are unread. So if I continue like picking books every single month from book of the month, I'm just going to fall behind terribly. So I want to start reading at least one book of the month each month from my picks specifically that I choose each month from book of the month. And then every month I do have to read one book club book, and I'm currently actively only part of like 2 book clubs. Actively, I'm a really big participant of the Cozy Hollow book club, which is hosted by Caitlin from Pride and Paperback, Lauren from Lauren Love Reads, and Happy Go Lovely Sleeves. And that one is a book club that is every other month. So for my other book club, which is my IRL book club that I host myself, which is a Latina book club, that one is bi-monthly. So thankfully, usually when I read a Cozy Hollow book club read, the next month I'll read my book club pick, and then so 4th. So I don't really have to read 2 book club picks in 1 month. It's only one every month. So that's another goal, is to make sure that I'm reading my book club picks. Like I said, those are the only 2 that I'm really active, but I do, like, every now and then, if I see a book that I'm really interested in for like the Literary Dead book club, or Savannah's book club from Riveting Reads, or Gabby from Gabby Reads, which all of those are like horror, mystery, thriller type of book clubs, which I find are like my favorites. If I see something that is really interesting to me, I will pick it up that month. I know for Literary Dead book club, they're reading the writing, oh, it's right here, the Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz, so I will be picking this up soon for the Literary Dead book club. But I have been trying to not commit myself too much for too many things, so that is, yeah, that's the goal for book clubs. And another reading monthly goal is to read 1 nonfiction book. Again, this year in 2023, I started reading nonfiction. My therapist has recommended a lot of different books, and this year I read a book called Attached, and I learned so much from it. I read it just this month in February, and I just started another one called Insecure in Love, and I just bought a couple others, more for self-love and all those things, and I've just been learning so much, and I'm going to explain in a little bit how I manage all of my simultaneous books that I'm reading at once. But that's another goal, to read at least 1 nonfiction each month. Those have been more like by doctors and kind of research-ish books, but I have read some memoirs this year as well. I read Tom Felton's memoir. I do still want to read Prince Harry's memoir, and I have a couple other like nonfiction, memoir, autobiography type of books, so those count as well for nonfiction, so I will be reading more of those this year. And the last monthly reading goal is to read my Buzzword reading challenge book. So if you don't know, Kayla from over at Books and Lala, she's hosting the Buzzword reading challenge, which is a year-long challenge, and for each month there is a theme, like a word theme for each month. So for example, like January, the word other, February, the word love, or there are themes like spices and flavors and stuff like that. Those aren't accurate, don't hold me to those. I was just like kind of explaining. But yeah, I've been trying to read my Buzzword reading challenge book for each month. I can't even remember what was this month's book. This month's word was a verb, and I believe that that's why I read Thank You for Listening by Julia Whalen. So I've been really good. I've read so far all of the Buzzword reading challenge books so far. I don't know what the challenge for the month of March is, but I have all of my books picked out for the year. They can change, but I just want to make sure that I'm reading those too. And that's another monthly reading challenge. Alrighty, so now I want to talk a little bit about my simultaneous readings, so reading multiple books at once. So my rule so far has been to only read 3 books at once, and I have been doing 1 nonfiction book so far, and that one, for nonfiction, I've been kind of breaking up the book 2 chapters at once. Usually nonfictions aren't too long, so I kind of break up the book in 2 chapter sections. So I only read 2 chapters a day of that nonfiction, so I really sit down and I highlight everything and tab and really get into that book and learn about what I'm reading. So usually I've been reading 1 nonfiction, and then the second book that I've been reading is to complete one of those goals that I talked about. So whether it is reading 1 book of the month book, or reading a book club book, or reading the Buzzword reading challenge, or doing a reread of a favorite book. So the second book is usually a book that I'm reading to accomplish a goal for the month, and then the last book that I will be reading like simultaneously is the fun book. So usually I'll read my nonfiction, I'll read my 2 chapters, and then for the book that I am reading to complete a challenge or something, they're not books that like I don't want to read, like I still really want to read them. So usually I will read that like during the day for as long as I want, and then once I feel accomplished that I got those 2 readings for the day, I'll go to my fun book, to whatever I feel like reading, mood reading, or whatever I put on my TBR. So the fun book can be anything. So it could even be like a book of the month or something else that I'm really looking forward to, and it could still be completing another reading challenge that I have for myself for the month. But whatever I'm like really excited to read, that will be the fun book. Another reading not reading challenge, but another goal that I have this year is to buy less books and to get more books from the library. I am on a book buying ban currently, and I just found this amazing library in my area, and I just got a card from it, and they have a lot of new releases and stuff, so I am trying to buy less books, so I'm going to be borrowing a lot more from the library. Alrighty, so those were all of my 2023 reading goals, challenges, I don't know. I hope that y'all enjoyed. If you were looking to challenge yourself in any type of way and this gave you some ideas, I hope that this helped in any way. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!